Opportunity to speak. I think we would have a very long afternoon and a long day. And so thank you very much, friends, for being there.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hamjambo. I note that it's 1:23 p.m. I see that the sugar levels are going down, and I am sorry for that. But we have the entire legal profession, yet to give their speeches. This is by way of giving a warning to those who will be speaking, that at most, please speak for 2 minutes, because people are tired, and there are many people who are yet to speak. So I am going to try and use the dictatorial powers I just learned from the MC who just left. In his earlier part, the way he ran the program, I saw that after you spoke for 2 minutes, he approached someone who was talking, and he was required to stop speaking. In this case, the person approaching you will be a court of appeal judge. So you'll be advised to stop speaking when the 2 minutes end. But please allow me, in the spirit of saving time, to please establish the protocols so that when you come here, please don't repeat the protocols. And I have also been informed that since we're in church, canon law precedes our own laws and protocols, so these protocols will not be as comprehensive as usual. So please forgive me if they are not that comprehensive. Please allow me to begin with the family of the late Justice Majanja, led by the Patriarch, Mr. Majanja, the Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Moses Wetangula, the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, the Head of Public Service, Felix Kosgei, Supreme Court judges present, the Court of Appeal judges are present, led by the President of the Court of Appeal, the judges of the High Court and Equal Status Courts, led by their 3 principal judges, the members of Parliament and senators who are present, the Honorable Director of Public Prosecutions, the Honorable Magistrates present, senior counsels, lawyers, classmates of Majanja, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Those will become our protocols. Please just adopt them as you come to give the speeches this afternoon. Today, you all know that we are here both to mourn our departed brother, but also to celebrate him. We're here to shed our tears in mourning, but also to laugh at the remembrance and memories of the great things that he did, to celebrate his legacy. So that's what we'll be doing in different words, in different guises, in different ways. Please allow me to begin this portion of the program as efficiently as possible. First off, to speak will be a representative from Hill School in Eldoret. Please, if you could please approach. After this, we will have a representative from the Parklands class of 1996. If you can please just be making your way here so that we can save time. And after that, we will have Commissioner Duncan Okello, who will speak on behalf of Chief Justice Emeritus. If the 3 of you can just be in front now so that we can save time, that would be great. Thank you very much. We begin with the representative from Hill School. Karibu.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sheila Komen-Kaino. I'm going to speak on behalf of Hill School and class of 96. I was actually in class with David. I'll not say much because we've been given 2 minutes. We had a tribute from Mr. Paul Scott, who was our principal, and we also had a tribute from the class, but we'll ask that this can be moved to the home over the weekend. So if I may just call upon the Hill School fraternity and class of 86 to stand so that we acknowledge you. Please do where you are. We are quite a number here in the room. Thank you so much. As a class, we've also paid for the house today and also made time to visit Muse the other day, and we sat and he took us through quite a bit of history around his children. So thank you so much. Poleni sana to the Majanja family. Poleni sana to the Hill School family. All the Majanjas were in Hill School. Poleni sana. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Judge Judy to speak on behalf of class of 96.
Good afternoon, Church. My name is Judy Omange. I'm speaking on behalf of class of 96, who had the distinct pleasure of having Justice Majanja as our classmate for 28 years. I ask that if you're a class of 96, please let's just wave. You saw them singing their hearts out here earlier. Yeah, thank you very much. Allow me to just say one word which is not for class of 96. I knew Justice Majanja when I served as the registrar of the High Court, and I'll say one thing. There was a time when we didn't have money. We have a challenge of money in the judiciary sometimes. Justice Majanja carried out circuits from Homa Bay to Migori for a whole year, funding the people of Migori County so that they could get access to justice. He told me, Judy, the fact that we don't have funds does not mean people do not have to have justice. He cared about just serving without counting the cost. And that is something that is a challenge for us who are still serving. Yes, you can clap for him, please. I think it's something rare to see in public service, and we celebrate Justice Majanja for that. I could talk endlessly, but I'll go to class of 96. We, class of 96, want to thank the Almighty God for the privilege we had of brotherhood with one of Kenya's finest sons. While to the world he was judge or commissioner, to us he was simply Maj. For many of us, he was the teacher who helped us in our education journey by patiently walking us through that difficult, incomprehensible subject. Many shared how he helped them in high school and in campus to be able to overcome educational challenges they were facing. For many others, Maj was the hand that held us back from the brink, either by way of counsel, financial resources, or moral support. The stories have been told. That was our story too in class of 96. For those of us who stumbled, Maj was the steadying hand that offered solid support. Maj was there helping us in life's journey, in good times and in bad times, often with a smile, a belly laugh, a hug, and a very comforting hug and a very huge laugh. Despite his very busy schedule, Maj would always spare a time to call a classmate he knew was going through a difficult period, such as the illness of a close relative. Even as he loved, we knew that for those of us who were practicing advocates, we would win or lose our cases before him fairly. Indeed, some amongst us have testified that we lost cases before him and we fully accepted the verdict. Our class has a tradition started by Professor Ngugi, JA, whereby any classmate who runs into each other would take a photo and share on the class wall. Maj would never pass a classmate without insisting on a photo to capture the moment. He was always in full compliance. I know that judges, magistrates, our classmates, all of us have shared hundreds of photos which we took with Justice Majanja. We could not be able to share all of them today, but we are seeing how we'll package them so that they can form a lifelong memory of who Justice Majanja was. As a class, our hearts are broken, but we remain grateful for the love that we shared with Maj. To his immediate family, and I'm so happy that just as he was close to us, I have now known that he had a family that he was extremely close to and he loved even more perhaps than us. And to the judiciary family, the judges and magistrates and our colleagues in the judiciary, Justice Majanja loved you. When we lost Justice Onguto, he told me, Judy, I'm taking charge of Kisumu. Don't worry about anything in Kisumu. I'll take care of all the judges and the magistrates. Nobody should be worried. And I just want to thank the judiciary family, more so the judges, for having given him the opportunity to serve as a second-term commissioner. It meant the world to him. And he kept on saying that this time I'm going to do even better. I'll hear what the judges have said. We need to do better, and we'll do it. Thank you, Marge, for serving us with such distinction and with so much passion. To the legal fraternity, thank you also for helping us to love Marge. I think it means a lot that he got an award. His work was recognized just last year, and he was able to get his flowers in his lifetime. We thank you for that recognition. At this dark moment, we pray that our Father, who gave Marge to us, may comfort his family. And it's really nice to hear his dad talk. We see where Marge got a lot of the characters that he had, the qualities that he had, and whose loss is surely greater than all of us. May God comfort you, and may he take you through this difficult period. Thank you, Marge, for being a faithful defender of the law, a true compatriot to your country, but most of all, for being our brother and our friend. It has been an honor knowing you and doing life with you. We love you, and we pray that our God, who knew you when you were in your mother's womb and who knows you now, will be with you, our brother. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Judy. Next, I don't know if Commissioner Duncan Okello, and as he's making his way, may I ask the Vice President of KMJA, Honorable Rhoda Tor, to please make her way. If she's still here, she'll be speaking next. Or who will be representing KMJA? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Justice Ngugi, for intimidating the speakers. As being Court of Appeal judge, he's also a professor of law. He went to Harvard, and according to him, most importantly, went to Alliance. So there is so much intimidation here, but I shall not be intimidated. But I'll be very short. Mzee and family, Pole Sana, I'm here on my behalf as a friend to and a brother to Marge. I'm also here together with the Okech family that adopted Marge as their son, and the Okech family is led here by my elder brother, George Otieno Solo, is sitting somewhere here, and my sister. I'm also here to pass the condolences of CJ Emeritus, Professor Willie Mutunga. I did a tribute, a very long tribute to Marge, and I will not read it because of time. And that tribute is titled Justice David Majanja, a triple heritage of humanity, intellect, and institutionalism. And I trace the history of Majanja using those three threads. But let me first pass the condolences of CJ Emeritus Willie Mutunga, who would have loved to be here, but he's attending a Pan-Africanist Judges Conference in Accra, Ghana, and would therefore not make it. But he did say that there's one thing I must say about Justice Majanja, and I'll mention it here shortly in my redacted remarks. Justice Majanja was a friend and a brother, a jurist, a judge, a boss, and my pupil master. That is the Majanja tapestry in my life, a very beautiful kaleidoscope radiating with sophistry and humanity. But the full frame of Marge's life can only be understood within the context of humanity, his intellect, and his love for the institution called the judiciary. I know those who knew Marge will strike common course with me when I say this. Today, we are not here to bury him. we are here today to inter the epitome of brilliance. Today, we are not here to bury the diminutive biblical David after whom he was named. Rather, we are here to bury a giant of common decency. Today, we are not here to bury a lawyer. We've come to honor a towering legal mind. And today, we are not here to bury a judge. We are here to entomb a redoubtable institutionalist. As we sit on these pews, we're indeed standing up in respect and awe of a man whose life was a perfect alchemy of sophistry and simplicity. To channel Ernest Hemingway's, this is not a farewell to arms, but to most of us, it is a farewell to a brother in arms. Marge was the embodiment of a generous spirit, human spirit, and serious depth of humanity. Marge was a brother to me. There is not a single event at home, good or bad, that he did not show up for. He showed up for the fundraiser for our church. He showed up when my dad died and made the trip on the eve of Christmas Day and the last day of term of the High Court, which was a very difficult time to travel. He joined the family to try and say, to join us and say, to bid bye to my dad. He was there last year when my niece died at the same hospital. Within 10 minutes, Marge was at her bedside. Indeed, my mother actually publicly declared him a son of the Okech. So last year, sometime this year, he bumped into my sisters in Kisumu and he gave them money for lunch as usual. And they asked, "Oh, where are you from?" They said, "Oh, we are from home. Mom had convened a family meeting to discuss routine matters." Marge immediately called my mom. "You said I was your son. How can you be convening a family meeting and I'm excluded?" There was no defense to that charge. So he called me about 2 weeks ago, as he always did on a number of things. We had tea in the morning and explained in detail his medical condition and what he was going to do about it. I did ask him whether he was fine doing the surgery here in Nairobi. And he said, "Yeah, it's okay. It's a simple procedure." It's unfortunate that we've lost him. And during that occasion, he told me, "I can no longer write, but I can type." And in that process, he was functional, he was happy. A friend of mine, an advocate who was having client problems at the Kenya National Examination Council, had a problem, so I explained to him, "Oh, okay, let's try and do something about it." He made a call at NEC. He told me that he himself used to work at NEC during school holidays and facilitated the help that was needed. And he did mention to me at that point that even him, his name Shikomera, had a clerical problem. I can't remember whether he said it should have ended with an A or a U, but he explained to me that it had a clerical error, but he had come to live with it. But that was Marge the brother. Marge the institutionalist. Marge did so many things. When we were doing the recruitment, when the Judicial Service Commission asked me to help with the communication processes during the recruitment of the Chief Justice in 2 years, almost 3 years ago, Marge was very supportive. Within seconds of the decision being made, Marge was on phone with me, advising on how we should angle this story, the appointment of the first female Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. He was very particular. And if I may reveal, CJ, that iconic photo of the power walk of all female judiciary leadership, of CJ Kome, DCJ Mwilu, and then CRJ Amadi. That iconic power walk was a product of a conspiracy between me, Marge, and the then registrar of the JSC, now CRJ, Frida Mukaya. Mulikuwa munapangwa. And please don't take disciplinary action against me for it. In any case, we can invoke statute of limitations. The key witness has left us, and the CRJ will declare the fifth. But such was Maj's interest in showcasing the judiciary to other arms of government and to the world, that the judiciary was keen on women empowerment and women leadership. Now, to the point that CJ Mutunga asked me to mention, we're talking about Maj, the institutionalist. When CJ Mutunga was working on the Constitution of Kenya, protection of fundamental rights and freedoms, practice and procedure rules, which are commonly referred to as the Mutunga rules, it is to Maj that he turned to lead the consultation with civil society groups and other stakeholders to draft the rules. Those friendly rules that we have, that we see with respect to accessing our rights and asserting our rights, have a very healthy dose of Maj's formidable intelligence quotient. Maj's footprint, imprint is so large on those rules, but you'll never hear him talk about it. Again, the institutionalist Maj struck in 2013, 2012. We were facing the first election that was likely to have so many petitions. Maj was in my office, said, you know, you've been so consumed with the other transformation processes, but we are not thinking about how to deliver the petitions that will be a deluge effectively. What to do? And so the Judiciary Committee on Elections was born. That was Maj's idea. He drafted the TORs of that committee and proceeded to serve with distinction in that committee. When I shared with CJ Mutunga this idea, as those who know him very well, like Mbete here, he'll just say, oh, alhamdulillah, thank God for Justice Majanja. He's given us a device that we can use to do these elections. Maj, the institutionalist, Justice Omange has talked about Migori. When he was taken to Homa Bay, he did revolutionary things. Started a CUC's process that sorted out succession matters and freed lands assets. For him, he said, this is not about law, this is about economic empowerment. He followed up, renovated the old court, acquired a new court, and Justice Esther Maina started that process. He helped lay the foundation of the modern court in Homa Bay that is coming up, the new court in Bita. All that was Maj's work. And CJ, because of the budgetary cuts that we've had, the court in Homa Bay and Bita are yumba-yumbering. Let's try and complete them as we reprioritize our budget in honor of a great man. And the other point is, when he was posted to Homa Bay, he served as the first High Court judge in Migori as well. This was important for Maj, because in the 90s, we had a legendary DC called Victor Musoga for South Nyanza. South Nyanza was both Homa Bay and Migori counties combined. Now, when Maj was posted to Homa Bay and was in charge of Migori as well, just like his uncle, Victor Musoga, Maj was suddenly in charge of South Nyanza. He was so proud of it that when I visited him in the village on Good Friday this year, he made sure that we passed by Victor Musoga's home and said, this is the uncle that created the path for me to serve in Southern Nyanza. Let me conclude, Judge, by saying this, and let me bribe you by saying that you'll be mentioned in good light in these last comments. Maj was part of the post-2010 founding bench in the Constitutional and Human Rights Division and its sister division in the Judicial Review. He served along Justice Lenaola, Justice Mumbingugi, Odunga, Justice Wasami. In the OCJ boardroom, we used to call it the Mercedes bench. Mercedes bench. It was solid. It evinced judicial courage. It was efficient. It glittered with progressive jurisprudence and glamour. Maj was a shining marble in that ensemble. He was a marvel. We were so invested in the new constitution because we knew that if the substance, tone, and tenor of the first judgments were right, then the constitution would survive and endure. Maj was a prominent member of the Mercedes bench. He was a marvel. He was a magisterial. Maj was magical, and he was barely 40. The Mercedes bench of the two divisions were the gifts that kept giving. Fellow Kenyans and friends, it is because of Justice Majanja and other judges' refusal to pursue a policy of judicial appeasement towards the executive and the legislature that injected vital nascent doses of oxygen to the Constitution 2010. Through Maj and other judges of that era, the birth of the Constitution survived life-threatening congenital defects. The progressive content in the Constitution 2010 did not suffer infant mortality or under 5 mortality that is so prevalent in Africa because of the judicial courage of Justice Majanja and other members of the Mercedes bench. Justice Joel Ngugi was a backseat driver of that bench. It's supposed to buy you more time? And when I look, I conclude, and when I look at the careers of the Mercedes bench, because I study the judiciary quite a bit, it is safe to say that eschewing judicial appeasement pays, however temporary, its immediate discomforts. Lenaola, judge, leapfrogged from the High Court into the Court of Appeal. Supreme Court, I wanted you to hear properly, so the mistake, the Freudian slip was deliberate. Justice Mumingugi, Justice Odunga, Justice Wasami, Justice Ngugi here were all elevated to the Court of Appeal after fairly short stints at the High Court. Justice Majanja was first elected unopposed to the JSC, and only recently, as Judge Omanga said, re-elected with a landslide for a second term to serve in the JSC, the first High Court judge to be so elected to serve for 2 terms. Judicial courage is what this country needs, not judicial appeasement. And it pays at a professional, personal level, it pays constitutionally, and it helps our democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, because of his humility, Maj's brilliance was not performative, it was surgical. His mien was not assertive, but it was indelible in its wake. Vehemence was not his style, but sturdiness was his manner. His intelligence was effortless, careening through the labyrinth of law with dissembling ease. My friend, my brother, we are in pain. We stretch the pain of your demise by celebrating your huge footprints in the sands of history. We salve the wounds of your sudden departure by honoring the edifying, timeless legacy of a progressive, formidable jurist. I bid farewell to a bosom friend, a brother with whom we were looking forward to your home housewarming party later this year. David Amilcar Shikomera Majanja. Fare thee well, my brother. You go now. We remain, we shall come. One day, someday, any day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Duncan. I have to say that is the longest speech I've ever seen Duncan giving, and it was really heartfelt. It felt very difficult to stop him from giving that speech. He needed to give it. So thank you, Commissioner Okello. I did not give him more time because he and I are alleged to belong to a certain council. I only gave him more time because he needed to make that speech. Please allow me to breach protocol at the request of the head of public service because he needs to be in a meeting in the next few minutes and is requested to address us now. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Felix Koskei.
Thank you, Judge. The larger family of Majanja, the entire judiciary led by Chief Justice, Judicial Service Commission, the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Director of Public Prosecution, Member of Parliament, Majanja's Member of Parliament, distinguished monarchs, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mine will be very, very short. This guy who is lying here was my friend, and a true friend, a genuine friend, a man of his word, a man of integrity, and a man who means what he says. I got the news, the worst news, when he passed on from Justice Warsame and Madam CRJ here. It was devastating. I just took off from the office straight home because I could not manage to really digest even the news. We worked with Majanja for 3.5 years in Judicial Service Commission, as a commissioner. He found me there when I was 6 months old. And he came in with energy, came in with comradeship, came in somebody with open arms. He taught us a lot. He guided us in the issues of law. And we worked together. We worked very well. And he was always a man who was bringing all of us together whenever there are issues that we have divergent minds. We worked with Majanja in several committees. One that stood out was audit and governance, where my brother Mashari and Jeru was a member, Majanja and myself, and we did justice to bring governance to judiciary. He was firm. Sometimes he was telling us, now as we are disciplining these people, I don't know whether I'm putting my job on the line because his position was elective. But he continued putting his foot down and says things must be done right. So I don't want to repeat what other people have said. Majanja, whenever we travel abroad, he has known that I'm a poor shopper. I don't shop a lot. So he was always shopping 2-3 suitcases. And he knew for sure Felix will own one suitcase whenever we go. And he's a guy who kept in touch all through. In fact, he sent me a message, I think 2 days or 3 days before his demise. We met last fiscally on 8th of June, where we had the whole hour of discussions on what we need to do and the advices that he was extending to us on how to manage the situations that we were in. Majanja we have lost him. But I'm sure whatever contribution he gave to this country, it will be very difficult for anybody to match. He was a true citizen of this country, true patriot, and a Kenyan to beat. Thank you, and Paul and son.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Koskei. Next, we have a segment where we have members of the Law Society of Kenya who will give their tributes. May I, with much humility, call Mr. Renson Ingonga, the Director of Public Prosecutions, and as he comes, the next to speak is going to be my teacher, Professor Githu Wigai. I have not seen him here. Oh, he is present. And then at the tail end of this segment, we will have the President of the Law Society of Kenya, Faith Odhiambo. So if you could begin with Mr. Ingonga. Karibu.
Thank you. The family of David, all mourners, good afternoon. I don't know what to say for David. I think I've said a bit in my tribute to David. David was a fine man and brilliant. David was a very close friend. I learned of his death while in Morocco. Fortunately, I had won the election as president of the Africa Prosecutors Association, planning to call him about the same because he knew of my campaign for that position before I left this country. David was one guy who was very hardworking and never wanted to leave his job to even attend to his health. He knew in most cases whenever he would tell me something about his health, I'd push him. When he first went to hospital and he was admitted and scans were done, MRI and whatever, after he came out, he talked to Justice Dora and he told her, don't tell, he used to call me Renison, not Renson, Renison. Don't tell Renson about this. I'll tell him myself. I took about 3-4 days. I never saw his call. I decided to call. He didn't pick. Then one weekend, he decided to call me. I asked him, David, I'm told you are in hospital, but you never told me about it. I used to call him David, no other name. He said, yeah, it is true. If I had told you, I know how you normally push. And I even told Judge Dora to make sure that she doesn't tell, I'll tell you myself after I've decided what I want to do. He told me there was something he said in the chest, which is very simple. It's not affecting anywhere in his body. But one thing he told me, that he could not write. He told me at the moment I can't write. If you get my speech very well, it's blood. That's what he told me. I asked him, where do you want this done? He said, no, they said it's just a simple procedure to be done at the Nairobi hospital. I told him, David, why can't you go to India or South Africa? Have friends there, we can do right away. He said, no, this is a very simple thing. I've been advised by the doctors that will be done here. But I believe maybe it was God's plan. we left, we lost a very fine, brilliant person in Kenya. All I would say, let him go with peace. Let his brilliance remain with those of us who learned from him. And the family of David, God will be with you. We'll pray for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Professor Githi Muigai. I should say when Professor Githi Muigai